Triple H, I'm calling you out for simply lying to the fans. It seems like this Netflix deal was supposed to be such a great thing, but now something is changing on the app that is really causing a change for the WWE. And quite frankly, I just don't like being lied to, and therefore we're going to talk about it in today's video. And by the way, Netflix and WWE is finding a lot of success, so this kind of change doesn't really matter. I don't know why it's really going down. It's not really necessary, but hey, WWE is doing it anyways. Not only that, guys, we are going to talk about a WWE storyline that's being canceled. It seems like it's done. They're not dealing with it anymore. And on top of that, John Cena has got some big teases, and we got to talk about that too. All right, so I want to kick things off with a WWE feud being canceled. Ladies and gentlemen, Roxanne Perez and Bayley. There's been no follow-up with this. It's really strange. And on the latest Fightful Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp has dropped a pretty big update on this. He says, yeah, I haven't heard Bayley and Roxanne being mentioned at all the last few weeks, and it was something that was brought up quite a bit. Now, obviously, we don't know why WWE has decided to just not move forward with the storyline. Obviously, Bayley is now in a storyline with Lyra Valkyria, and they're going after each other for the Intercontinental Women's Championship, which is cool, and it's a great storyline. However, Roxanne was somebody who's been called up to the main roster, and we've seen no follow-through here. And this is making me kind of worried. Like, is there a situation where maybe Roxanne is injured, Roxanne isn't cleared? Like, what's the reason for Roxanne not being involved in this feud, especially when it's been a really good feud that took place over NXT and WWE Raw? There's no answers for it. I don't like when storylines are cut without an explanation. And if there is an explanation, for example, if Bayley or, you know, in this particular case, if Roxanne was injured or something like that, okay, that's fair, that's valid, that's fine. But damn, dude, this is a good storyline. And we need more storylines that don't necessarily involve a championship belt. And I just personally am not a fan of storylines being dropped without explanation. And there's been nothing out there that suggests Roxanne is not cleared. There's nothing out there that suggests anything like that. So this is a really strange situation. I've kind of been wondering this as I've been watching Raw, like what happened to the storyline. And it's not very often where you see a good storyline being dropped, so I don't really know where this stems from. What I will say, though, is Bayley and Lyra Valkyria is a great storyline as well. I would like to see WWE bring Roxanne back in the mix, and perhaps a way you can do that is by having her attack Bayley in the championship match, but it just seems like there's been no connection to this match at all in recent weeks, and that kind of sucks.
Now would be the best time to remind you that we have a major goal to hit 100,000 subscribers. Over 40% of the viewers who watch this channel are not subscribed. Please click subscribe if you enjoy staying educated on everything with wrestling news.
All right, guys, John Cena, public interviews. You know, John Cena's talking about WrestleMania, and he's got some very interesting stuff speaking to People magazine. He's very cryptic when he's being pressed with these questions. Obviously, a lot of questions about the heel turn and just everything that he's kind of up to these days. He says, I'm going to say that there's more predictability on the way. Here's the stance I'm going to take on it. And I think I hopefully can put it in terms you can understand. We are in the middle of a very riveting season of episodic television, and you are kindly asking me to give you spoilers, and I can't do that. Great response. So two things, really. John Cena not being advertised until WrestleMania tells me that maybe my theory of John Cena sneak attacking Cody is going to happen, which would be very, very nice. We are on the road to WrestleMania. I think it's necessary that John Cena is there. And the fact that John Cena is obviously not willing to spoil anything, but the fact that he's teasing something big is a relatively big deal. I also like the fact that John Cena is talking publicly and still maintaining some heelish tactics. That's one thing that you haven't really seen too many interviews with John Cena, but now that he sold his soul to The Rock and now that he's actually doing this heel turn, I like the fact that John Cena is not being the typical babyface that you would typically see otherwise. So he is keeping kayfabe alive in a certain way. But the fact that he says it very clearly, there's more unpredictability on the way. I'm very, very ecstatic about that. I think that is something that definitely needs to be talked about. That is something that definitely needs to be emphasized because I do feel like this road to WrestleMania, and I did talk about this on my live show. So if you guys watch the Ango Show live Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube, then you know I've been talking about this. But last night's Raw was absolutely necessary to get the story going. You know, it was a very, very good promo battle, and then we got the Crossroads. And I feel like Cody Rhodes will pay for that. So obviously with John Cena, you know, not being advertised, I think there's a lot of opportunity for those sneak attacks and for those surprise angles and that unpredictability that John Cena is now teasing. And really, this is a question for you guys. Are you feeling the storyline? Are you guys happy with the John Cena heel turn? Do you need more time to kind of decide whether you are happy about it or not? I do think this is a very interesting build compared to last year, because last year was very aggressive and very gruesome and a very, very big process. This year, it seems like WWE has kind of toned it down a little bit, which is a far more interesting approach. Doesn't mean that things can't change, but of course, I feel like they are playing it a little bit more safe with John Cena being a heel, which a lot of people didn't expect. And if they don't turn it up a notch, it could be bad news for Cena. And that brings us to our final topic, ladies and gentlemen. Netflix, WWE Raw, what is going on? Why is Triple H a liar? Why? Why am I calling out Triple H for lying? Well, guys, the truth is, Triple H was the one who was talking about Netflix being able to get away with a lot of things on Netflix. And, well, now WWE and Netflix made a huge change. If you guys remember, there was okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how this works. WrestleMania 40 on Netflix no longer has the holy shit chants. WWE and Netflix completely censored WWE's holy shit chants, and instead they swapped it out with a this is awesome chant. And WWE and Netflix, we've been told by Triple H and Netflix that there is a little bit more that they can get away with here. And there's a little bit more flexibility here. And we don't have to worry about the censorship, right? Well, now it appears that we have to worry about the censorship. And one of the reasons why I think a lot of us got excited about the Netflix deal was because of the fact that they were going to kind of lay off of the censorship. And I get it, maybe it's not happening live, but when you are having a video on demand experience, VOD experience, if you're not tuning in live and you're watching something and then WWE is altering the audio, not only are you really portraying something that didn't happen because you are altering it, but you're flat out censoring something that truly did happen, and the thing that you're censoring is not even a bad thing. And I'm sorry, but as a huge fan of WWE and its creative direction and everything that they are doing, this is one of those things where I just feel lied to, man. I feel lied to, and I feel like it is so unnecessary and just so uncalled for. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I really do love DVDs and Blu-rays, because you can't go back and change those DVDs and Blu-rays. And now with everything streaming, you pretty much can change and censor whatever you want. And I just think that is such a big letdown. Anyways, if you guys want more videos like this, you already know what to do. Go ahead and click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.